everybody, welcome back to Wrestling with My Opinion. Again, this is Frank. You can always find me on Twitter at MyPWOpinion. Today's video, we're going to concentrate mostly on Impact Wrestling, but we do have some other interesting news and tidbits from the day, so make sure you watch through to catch on those. Let's start off with Impact, of course. We're going to jump into the Impact Mashup Tournament. This should get really interesting. Looks like it's going to start next weekend or this weekend, but we won't see any of it until next weekend. But you're going to have Sami Callihan and Tessa Blanchard teaming together against Dave, Chris, and Trey. Of course, Trey being from the Rascals, and then Dave, Chris being from OVE. So you got the two OVE guys, you got Tessa, and then you got Trey mixed in there. All kinds of possibilities there. And in my opinion, anytime you get Tessa Blanchard in the ring, especially when you're going to have two more of OVE in there together with her, that's going to be entertaining. They're also going to have Rich Swann teaming up with another OVE member, Madman Fulton. He'll be going against, another OVE team member with Jake Christ, and also Wentz from the Radicals. So another interesting match, interesting dynamic there. This whole thing kind of reminds me of the old school, and it's going to date myself here a little bit, but the old Battle Bowl stuff that they used to do back in the WCW days, where they would put random tag teams together and then see what happened. You're also going to have Willie Mack and Michael Elgin in action. They're going to be teaming together in this. So, it's going to be interesting to see how they play that. Are they going to play it as that Willie forgot all about the trip to the ER that he took because of Michael Elgin? Is he even going to want to trust him or work with him? And then who are they going to face? Because they haven't announced the team yet. So who are they going to go up against? You also have some other really interesting stuff going on through the end of the month, beginning of next month for Impact Wrestling. You're going to have their California Into Summer Tour on August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. On the 2nd, you're going to have Unbreakable, which will be live on Impact Plus as well as Twitch. Now, what's interesting about this particular event is that the winning team from the mashup tournament will compete one-on-one against each other to determine who the number one contender is for the Impact World Championship. So you can imagine the possibilities there when you have Sami Callihan and Tessa Blanchard in there together. Where are they headed there? Could they possibly be headed towards Tessa Blanchard headlining an event and being in a world title match? A lot to be seen there. And then, of course, on the 3rd, you're going to have an event they're calling Starstruck. Easy for me to say. Sorry, guys. Starstruck. And then on the 4th, you're going to have the Impact TV tapings. But not a ton of matches have been announced about those events, but they should be very interesting. And I believe majority of those, other than the Impact TV tapings, I know Unbreakable will be. I believe Starstruck, I cannot say that, can I? Will end up being live on Twitch and Impact Plus. And you know what? Lots of people say all the time, I don't know where to find Impact. That's why I don't watch it. Twitch, for one. You can go right on Twitch and find it. As long as you have a decent enough speed through your internet service, you're going to be able to stream it and watch it. You can also get Impact Plus, and you can watch it live on there, as well as many other events, not just their weekly show, but the shows like they do on Friday or Saturday nights as weekend shows, like the California Into Summer and the Unbreakable event. They just had Bash the Brewery leading into Slammiversary. And then they had, when they team up with other smaller independent promotions, they show those on there also, which is really cool. Now, I'm going to venture off of Impact a little bit. I know this is an Impact video, but this stuff's important enough that I think it's worth mentioning even in this video. Sure you're aware by now, but CM Punk has been announced. He is going to be the headliner that's appearing at Starrcast III in Chicago for All Out Weekend. Before everybody freaks out and starts saying, CM Punk confirmed to AEW, well, pump the brakes a little bit. First and foremost, he's not even going to do meet and greets at this point. Right now, all he's committed to doing is an on-stage one-on-one interview, not meeting fans, not signing autographs as like a one-on-one thing like a lot of the other stars do throughout the week or throughout the weekend. So let's pump the brakes a little bit and see where this goes. Second big thing of news that came out as far as AEW so far this week, they released the first episode of Road to All Out. This it was an interesting episode. There's an awesome promo in there from Hangman Adam Page, and kind of continuing to build that story with him and Jericho. And that was excellent and well played. They've got Tony Schiavone on there doing the Control Center. He kind of threw to that promo, which is really fun to see. I like seeing Tony Schiavone involved. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. Those are the highlights of my week. To be perfectly honest, I love watching the Road 2 episodes leading into their pay-per-views, because they really do an excellent job of building story through those. So if you are one of those fans that says they don't have TV, they don't build storylines, start watching the Road 2s on the Nightmare Family YouTube channel, and you'll start to see the storylines building over there. Now, they do some of it as well with the Being the Elite channel, but it's more prominent on those Road 2s that air or are put on the Nightmare Family channel. Make sure you check those out. Those are important to stay on top of what they've got going on. But the real big news that came out of that was the Shawn Spears interview with Jim Ross. They sit down. It's clearly at Jaguar Stadium. You can see that in the background. And basically, JR, gives Spears some accolades, references that he feels like he's been underutilized for most of his career. They exchange pleasantries in that way. He basically asks Spears, why did he hit him with a chair? And Spears' answer was a little bit long-winded, but he talks about how he had 5 people in his circle of trust, I think he called it, and Cody was one of those. He references that Cody changed, that he became one of them referencing WWE and how he feels that they mishandled him and didn't respect his talent and his skill level and what he could do for them. And as they start to go on through that, they kind of go back and forth about that a little bit, and then all of a sudden you see somebody kind of walking into the shot, and it's Tully Blanchard. Now, I, for one, am going to date myself here because I'll be honest, I popped for that because I started watching wrestling way back when Tully Blanchard was the TV champion for Jim Crockett NWA Promotions, and had Tully Blanchard Enterprises, and that was the kind of the lead in to the Four Horsemen and the creation of all that. So I have always been a fan of Tully Blanchard. He's great on the mic. He was super, super talented in the ring, which shows you a little bit about where Tessa gets it. So I was on board for that. I think it's going to be really neat to see how this goes. I do think AEW does need to be a little bit careful. They're starting to bring so much of that older WCW feel that they already had enough banter even when they were announced about being the new WCW. So let's be careful about how much of that older stuff you bring back in like that. I personally don't see it, but a lot of people talk about that on headlines, on social media. A big thing with that too. Almost instantly after that episode was uploaded and people had the chance to watch it and see Tully Blanchard debut as Shawn Spears' manager, it was almost instantaneous. Tessa Blanchard is definitely going to AEW now. No, that's not definite. She has a year left on her contract with Impact. I don't see AEW going to Impact and saying, hey, we want to buy out your talent. I just don't see that happening. Not that they couldn't do it, I just don't think that's where they'll go. And you know what? Tessa Blanchard, and I tweeted this out, Tessa Blanchard is very much her own woman. And she is going to do what she feels is best for her when the time comes. Whether that means she's going to AEW, or she's going to WWE's NXT brand, or maybe she's able to work it straight to main roster of WWE. But she's very smart. She knows how talented she is, and she will make a judgment based off what's best for Tessa Blanchard's career, not what does Daddy work at AEW. I don't think she's even going to take that into account. There's also so much yet to be seen with AEW over this year's time she still has in her contract. I think, where does AEW stand when she does become available? Are they still as hot as they are now? Has it diminished down to almost an Impact Wrestling level? I don't think that'll happen, but could it? It's possible. So where do they stand there? Where's the product coming out of WWE? Where does that stand? Has it improved? Do they seem to be taking advantage of the good young talent coming in? Or is it still seem like it's a struggle for the really good young talent to get there and then get pushed and get over? Those are all things that she's smart enough to take into account and make the right decision. So pump the brakes if you're just automatically assuming that this means Tessa Blanchard's going to AEW, because honestly it doesn't. So with all that being said, another thing though, sorry, I almost closed this out too quickly. If you don't watch any of, and I'm going to mispronounce his name, so bear with me, Chris Van Fleet, I believe is how he pronounces it, but he does a bunch of videos on YouTube where he interviews wrestling stars. And I mean, he's interviewed Ryback, I believe he's had CM Punk at some point. He's had Jim Ross is the recent one, which I highly recommend to watch. Because it's very interesting. Darby Allin, that you want to talk about a fun one to watch. Watch that one. That dude, he was really cool in this interview. His character must be so close to home that it's scary. So, go check it out. Look him up, Chris Van Fleet on YouTube. The guy has a ton of good interviews, and what's really cool is they're those not in character interviews. It's more about how'd you get started, how did this happen, where did you come from, what do you like? But they're comfortable, they open up, and you kind of learn some things about the talent and their real personalities. So if you like that kind of stuff, definitely check him out. But the main reason I brought him up was that Jim Ross interview. Watch that Jim Ross interview. You'll learn a lot about where Jim Ross's head is, how he feels going into this AEW venture, and he's only a few shows in now, but there's been a lot of chatter about whether or not he still has it. Get an idea where his head is on that, and you get a feel for how he works too. And what I mean is, they talk about people talking in his ear and feeding him stuff. Interesting stuff, I'm telling you. So go check that stuff out. That's a great interview. As always, please hit that like button. Drop me a comment. I love to talk back and forth with people. I call it Wrestling with My Opinion because I like to give my opinion and then hear your opinion. And most importantly, click on that subscribe button if you like wrestling news from a fan for the fan, because that's what this channel is really all about. Enjoy the wrestling weekend, everybody, and we'll see you in the next video.